Welcome everybody to Top 5 Friday. Now when I did my top 20 Super Nintendo games of all time, there were inevitably a lot that I had to leave off the list. Some of those games were games that I had rented as a kid, and others were some that I discovered as an adult collecting video games. Regardless, there's a whole bunch of games that I really like that just didn't make the cut, and in today's video I'm going to go over top 5, well 5 of them. And I'm going to call it Top 5 Hidden Gems on the Super Nintendo because I'm going to try to pick some that maybe you haven't heard of or thought about or whatever, as opposed to stuff like Star Fox, which I really like, but didn't make that list. So without further ado, let's get right to the... No, wait, there is an ado. There is one ado, small little ado. This video is sponsored by Vikings. Guys, if you enjoyed the old school strategy and RPGs of the 90s and 2000s as I did, you're going to love Vikings. And that's actually when I got into RPGs personally, that Final Fantasy VII. The latest update was so good that it placed the game on the top 5 charts. The game is not only about clan battles. Nation versus nation combats are making this game totally outstanding. Opportunity to choose your own playstyle makes Vikings unique. Know how to manage people? Be a clan leader and reign your empire. If you have that killer instinct, annihilate your enemies. If you're an economist by heart, use your skills to build a prosperous city. Now my favorite part, annihilate your enemies. Interesting fact, Vikings game recently reached 20 million players. That's over 10 million more than the total population of actual Vikings that ever lived. Don't miss it. Let's help Vikings to reign again. Install the game right now using only my links in the description below. You will get 20 gold and an initial protection shield. Click it. On to the intro.
Oh, it's Friday night. Don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. I could sit here and pick my nose while I watch a brand new video. Whoa, Top 5 Friday. Top 5 Friday tonight.
Number 5 on the list goes to Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday. In this game, you guide Porky Pig through his nightmares. And that just sounds amazing, does it? Well, that's because it is. Now, this isn't a perfect game by any means. It does have its flaws, such as Porky Pig does seem to have a little bit of a delay on his jump. But overall, I think it's really, really good. The graphics are really, really nice. They're colorful, they're cartoony, and I always love that sort of thing. I'm always going to be partial to games that have something to do with Halloween or fighting monsters and ghosts, and you do that in this game. You fight ghosts and spiders and ghouls, and there's leprechauns and all these different things that go bump in the night. I mean, you're guiding him through his nightmares. So while it's not a perfect game and it didn't make my top 20, it's still a game I play from time to time, and I really, really like it, and I enjoy it, and I think that you will too. Except Joe from GameSack, that fool, he doesn't like it. I said, hey, you should check out Porky's Pig, and he checked it out, and he was like, oh, this is crap, man. Just, you know what, I'm going to do a top 5 worst GameSack episodes. If you want to see that, let me know below. Now, you've seen and played Metal Warriors, well, maybe, but have you heard of its little brother, Cybernator? Cybernator. I never knew about this game growing up whatsoever, never heard of it, in fact. I didn't know about it until stupid Chris, actually, we were at a thrift store. We were actually shooting for the Game Chasers, and we were there looking through these games, and there were some Super Nintendo games, and Chris found a Cybernator. And I played it for the first time over his house, and I was immediately like, wow, this is pretty cool. I didn't actually feel like I was caught slipping until I had played it, because I was like, Cybernator, I never heard of that. But then I was like, oh, well, damn, I should have got Cybernator. In the game, you are a giant mech, and you're going around and you're blowing stuff up. There's a story that's tacked on, but I really don't pay much attention to it. What's really awesome about it is, well, you're a giant robot blowing stuff up, but besides that, there's some variety. It's a run and gun, but also some shoot 'em up stages to go along with it. In one stage, you could be flying around, kind of exploring and going to different areas, floating around, and then the next one is just a straight shoot 'em up, going from point A to point B and just blowing up everything in your path. I like it when games have variety like that. And the graphics are amazing. They pop, they're beautiful, the explosions look wonderful, the music, the sound effects, it's all good. It's all great. I love it. There's one thing that kind of irritates me though. they try to shoehorn this stupid story into it. So there are times when you're playing it and then all of a sudden just it'll stop. Kind of like in Castlevania 2 on the NES, it'll just stop and say like, what a horrible night for a curse or whatever it says. In this one, they try to tell you what's going on in the story and the dialogue, and there's people talking. That's the biggest flaw, in my opinion. Other than that, the game is great. The number 3 slot goes to the Jetsons. I grew up on the Jetsons and Flintstones. A lot of you probably did too. So I'm already going to be partial to a game that has those type of license to it. But the great thing is, this is a licensed game on a license that I like, but it's also a really good game. I love it when a game has a gimmick, and this one has a great gimmick. It has the gimmick of having a vacuum cleaner. I know you're thinking Luigi's Mansion, but you're not sucking up ghosts. Well, I guess you could if you wanted to. But you use this vacuum to suck up enemies, to suck up blocks, suck up odd. This is gonna be the video where I say suck the most, by the way. To suck the wall, because you can use it to latch yourself onto the wall. So you kind of goes like that, right? But think Ninja Gaiden, wall jumping. So you use the vacuum to traverse the stages. You can suck up the wall, go up the wall, you can suck up the ceiling, get up the ceiling, go on a platform, you know, what have you. That's the gimmick of this game, and it works out really, really well. It's just a really fun play style and kind of makes it different from your average standard run-of-the-mill platforming game. I think if I'd played this back in the day, I would have really, really, really liked it even more, because you'd have that nostalgia tacked onto it as well. But this is another game that I found while being an adult collecting video games. So this is one that I found. I played it for the first time probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I immediately liked it. So this is definitely worthy of my top 5 hidden gems, and you should go play it too. Number 2 on my list is another game that I discovered as an adult, and that is Pluck. The presentation of this game is absolutely outstanding. Probably a step above everything else on this list. And that's not saying that the presentation on anything else on this list is bad, but that just shows you how much effort was put into the presentation of Pluck. You're basically this thing. I don't know what you are, but you're a thing. And you have hands and feet that are kind of like just not attached to you, so you can throw them. Now, I've said that I love games that have a boomerang weapon. It's just something that's really fun about throwing something and having it come back to you like in this constant loop. And that's basically what you do with this game. You have 4 of them, 2 arms, 2 feet. The thing about it is it's pretty clever, whereas if you throw your arms and throw your feet, I mean, they can actually affect how you move. Like if you throw your feet, you don't have any legs, you can't jump anymore. And it actually comes into play. There are puzzles that can sometimes come up where your arms, your legs, they can get captured and put on a hanger or whatever, and you can't have access to them. So you're defenseless. So you have to figure out how to get them back. So it introduces puzzle aspects. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous in this game. I love bright, colorful, beautiful graphics, and this game absolutely has that. Except for one of the stages where you go back in time, and it makes it look like an old-timey film, like from the 20s. And that just, again, kind of shows the presentation of this game, and they went all out to just make this game a really cool experience. You gotta go pick it up. Definitely go get Pluck and give it a try. Alright, so there are no honorable mentions on this list because I might want to do another one. But without dragging it on any further, number 1 is Artie Lightfoot. Simply put, if you have never played this game, stop what you're doing once you've watched this video and watched several others off of this channel and go get the game and play it. As I was compiling this list, it became obvious to me that this game was going to be number 1, and it really got me thinking it really kind of should have been maybe on my top 20, but then it was like, what do I take off of the top 20? Because I don't want to take any of those games off. Artie Lightfoot is a side-scrolling platforming game. Now, I know there's a ton on the Super Nintendo. In fact, there are some on this list. But this one is just, it's on another level. It really is. If I could boil it down to one word that could just properly describe this game, it would be creative. It's just super creative in everything from the level design to the boss fights, you name it. When you're playing this, you could tell that it wasn't lazy. There are so many different lazy games on the Super Nintendo and NES, well, in every system. But you can tell that the people who made this put their heart and soul into it, and they put everything that they had into it. and it shows and it just shines through and through. Your main attack is basically your sidekick. So you can use him to throw at enemies, and the thing is, it's like kind of like ghosts and goblins. You get hit twice, you're dead. You get hit once, you lose your main weapon, your sidekick, and then you have to rely on your tail to basically bounce around on it. And that's your last line of defense. Once you get hit, you're dead. But you can also use your tail to bounce up to higher locations, which you're going to need to do. I really love the graphics in this game, just the variety of the stages, the puzzles. There's puzzles to solve in it. I mean, they're not too terribly difficult, but it's puzzles in the game, which I love. Now, unfortunately, it is a little pricey. You can't get it for $5, $10. I think it's around the $60 range, but I don't remember. And so that is the unfortunate thing. However, if you do find it and you run across it, you might want to pick it up. No might about it. You're going to pick it up. Do it. Well, thank you everyone for watching this Top 5 Friday and hearing me ramble on about 5 hidden gems on the Super Nintendo. Now, as I sit and wait for my court summons, because I'm probably going to be sued for using the term hidden gems. Well, that's what you guys were saying in the comment section of the last one I said hidden gems in. Let me know down below what your hidden gems on the Super Nintendo are, because I know that you have some as well. And I hope that you go and check out some of these games that I mentioned here. And also, if you are new to this channel, you can subscribe by hitting this little button right here. Be sure to hit the notification bell, otherwise, I don't know what you're doing. There's a video here, there's a Patreon, there's probably another video down here. Now, whether or not this was 20 seconds, I don't know, so I'm just going to sit here and talk, and then eventually it's going to get cut off, and I don't know when it's going to get cut